I'm witness to the subtle indoctrination of youths in the educational system, especially here in China, making them look up to the state and the state as the ultimate source of all good, and to whom fidelity is due. And we find this kind of subtle indoctrination in the songs, the cultural activities, and other events. In fact, people end up believing in the state and themselves, and the notion of God is shelved in this system. What I want to ask is, could it be that it is better to worship the state or government that you can see, you can petition to, and it can respond to your needs than to worship a God out there in outer space who seems dead and callous? So are the communists right after all, Duane?
Are the communists right? Well, you're there. And how do you see it, Charles? I mean, you're right in the midst of it, and you've been there how many years now?
Yeah, at least 5 years.
5 years, yes. You sound older. Harder getting up, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been observing them. It seems that from what we know about the Kalum God, who demands obedience, worship, and prayer, that when the communists even stop religious activities or belief in God, I don't know whether they have a notion of the fakeness of this God, or they are ignorant, or what? So are they right? I don't know what you have to say about this.
Well, of course they're right. Everybody's right. Okay, that's very simple. That's a simple answer. Everybody's right. Yes, everything's okay. Same thing. Right, left, up, and down. I let people be right. It's their choice. So it's very interesting. So you have government and God here is what you have. And so, well, this is a given in the world because this is all set up to be controlled. This is how it is because people don't have the awareness to see otherwise. It's that seeing and being and recognizing what's taking place. So it's easier for them because the routine has already been set up for lifetimes. You see that. And this is where, Charles, yes, we can go back and forth on all these issues constantly like we've discussed many times. And again, I will keep pointing to create some projects for people to take their attention off of this. This is where, like Eric brought up, go with the flow. There's a part of you that's going to go with what's taking place. You know, you're not going to 100% resist, you might say, everything that's taking place. No, it's better just to recognize what's taking place. Some things you're going to have to go with. In other words, just, renewing your driver's license every 5 years and getting your DMV tags or paying your house taxes or whatever it is. Some things, that's where you're just going to have to go with the flow a little bit. That's where that comes in. But again, I suggest, just like we do here with Kelsey and Val and the people that I try to get people involved, get involved with the projects. And again, we just keep reiterating these same things, thinking that we know something, because again, it's a given. The government's there. It's not going to change. The God idea, the religions, they're not going to change. This is why the boys, they do not focus on any of that. They see what's going on. But what they do is they're focused on what I'm presenting here and for those that step up, and also the projects that we're doing. I look at what has been presented and what they wanted to do in Nigeria with paying for the corporation or whatever it is. I would take the risk For me, again, I would take the risk. I would go to the natives and see what's going on and see if you can get in with them. This is what we're doing at the college. We're doing many things, bringing many things in different ways, not just going along with what the system wants, but creatively trying other things to see if we can get something implemented into this university in Arizona. And at the same time, I'm also focused on the bigger projects, you see. So I suggest, instead of constantly going over these things, because we already know what the government's doing, it's all about control, and it's always going to be the same old thing. So you want to sit there and figure this stuff out constantly and take that time, and then go confront them about what they're doing. You got time for that? I would say get a project going. Be part of the Skypes, whatever it is. They got cell phones, they got WhatsApp, whatever. In some way, creatively, you and Miriam, okay, because you're English, you're French, etc. Again, you have Africa, and we're looking at Africa too with the green belt. So we're all over. So we're doing the trees thing, and little by little putting this together. But if you just keep harping on this, what the government's doing, is this right or wrong or whatever, that's where your attention will be. And the Africans are going to be scratching their heads. Oh yeah, they're going to attend the groups. And they're just going to sit and read like they've always done and share some of their experiences, which is fine. But the reality for them to have a greater view, because we get questions from the Africans all the time, and they're old questions from 50 years ago, when the gurus were around. And this is not necessary. They need to get involved with the project, Charles, and you and Miriam have the awareness to handle this. I would say focus on all of that. And whatever the government does, or the communists, right or wrong, who in the heck cares? I don't care what Putin does. I don't listen to the news. I don't know what that knucklehead Trump does every day. I see it on Facebook. It's all silly stuff, and I'll share some images. But you know what? I don't listen to any of it. And so I just kind of let that be, and I just focus on what we're doing, you see? So again, they have their agenda. Fine, have fun with it. The end result is it'll go nowhere. So again, the projects, Charles, anything that makes sense. You got King over there too. King is wonderful. You got Eboke, you've got Dharma, you've got all these people around, but you've got King there. King is wonderful. And I know it's a challenge. It's a heck of a challenge. But bringing something else in a particular way doesn't cost an arm and a leg, because I know the Africans don't have money. And I don't have the funding yet, so there's, I'm trying, but I'm blocked. There's a lot of blockage here. What's interesting is that the boys set up situations from the real side and provide things. But when it comes about, just like a building plan, just like a plan for houses, for a house, I can have the plan, but if I can't get anybody to build it, it's not going to be built. You see, I need agreement there too. So when it comes into the physical, it's about agreement. We don't do magic tricks or force people into doing what they don't want to do. So, again, yes, they're right with whatever they're doing. Let them be right. Who cares? I would say get on with the projects. We've talked about this for a long time now, over a year, 2 years, and you and Miriam get together and implement something that makes sense. And I would go to the indigenous people, because the government sees them in a particular way, and I would learn that viewpoint and go from there, because of what is taking place in Africa. And this is what we're doing here. We're dealing with the Indians. Now, Val has joined a club, and a fella, his name is John, and he's an Indian. And we want to bring the Indians and the indigenous people into this, because we're referring to the all-natural environment. So there's your ticket there to creatively do it. I'm not saying it's going to magically happen. It could take you 100 years. I don't know, but I would say focus on that, Charles, and let the government do whatever they're doing. And God, we went over these ideas. Do we need it? We know what they're looking at and all the nonsense. As we focus on this, then more people see what we're doing. But again, they got to take the risk. They got to be risk takers to step up. So for that, you know what's going on, and that's my answer. You and Miriam focus on these projects for these individuals and help them along. Because you are the teachers, you are the new leaders. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Duane, you seem to have answered my next question in a seem to have anticipated it, but I'll still make the commentary. So I wanted to say there is an unseen element in doing something, in agitating oneself, as you always put it. And this helps to stretch one's horizons, enables one to be real and to work with the creative forces and be involved intimately with life. And as a consequence, be because rather than the effect of life. So I looked at what is going on. We see Kelsey, Val, and Henry involved with the health products and the nutraceuticals and helping themselves and many more around the world. And they will also see Henry's love for the all-natural environment, where he's even able to hawk and communicate with trees on the real side. And Duane is also with the seagulls, the dolphins, and rather, I can just imagine the happy moments she has with the children in the all-natural environment on the real side. So I just said this wouldn't have been possible if one stayed in a limited position. See, so this just chimes of what you're saying, that one has to do something. One has to go out there and do something which will help to stretch one's horizons, and just by agitating oneself, so to say, get involved with life. So this kind of self-agitation towards above prayer and affirms the isness life is. Then could it be possible that one's love for the environment could even get the hills and the mountains talking to us? And can you suggest some other great ways to be involved with this life?
Well, again, yeah, it's a step at a time, and have fun with it. Again, everything is awareness, and there's awareness with everything. And so, it's like the birds out there. You can chase them, they're going to fly away. But, when you just do what you do, all of a sudden, they start landing around you, and they start talking to you, whatever. So that's one of the fun things. The bigger picture is awareness, and these are individuals that are going through their process too. And so they see you, they see us, etc. And at the same time, because the world is like it is, it's a scary place. It's become more fearful and scary. So again, it's up to each individual if they have the courage to step up and just simply be real. But it's a challenge in this world. It really is, because we have our mind and we have these 5 bodies we're so self-convinced by. But yes, just decide to do something that makes sense. That's all. And sometimes it's going to stretch you. Sometimes, a lot of times, you're going to be tired and exhausted. Well, I always felt like I never do enough. And many times I'm very exhausted. I feel old, and some days I'm better at whatever. I don't really gauge these things, what I go through. I just do what I do, and I see what I see. And it's great that all of a sudden we're in this new moment right now, and all of you are here. This is all for you. This is how real it gets. We are all free beings of real light. It's so cool that we are, and it's all about awareness. And we each, we're everything, but at the same time, we are ourselves, and we're on our own experience. And so that's all. It's just, It's just really a very simple thing, Charles, but at the same time, dealing with the world. And as we are going through our process to become more aware, we can assist others. It's just very simple. So instead of just doing our job and going through the routine, which we've grown up through here, there's a bigger picture always for us. And yes, it's deciding to agitate yourself a little bit, do something different that scares you. When I first went out there and did introductory lectures, boy, was I nervous. This was the furthest, you might say, thought from my mind ever to do that, to stand in public and etc. But once I understood this better, I was more than willing to do it and offset that restriction that I had become self-convinced with. So I'm not saying everybody just go blurt it out, but have fun making up your adventure and sharing this, because as you do, you become more real. This is where you will recognize this. But yes, you got to bother the little self because it's in the comfort zone, etc. And yeah, the world is a heck of a challenge. Fine. I'm fine with facing it head on, but I'm not going to go out and scream in the streets. I'm not going to go demonstrate because I see that as not necessary. And so we have these mediums like Facebook and other things, but at least something. But now we have the Skypes, and we have a lot of agreement too. You have a lot of people in Africa, and there's a lot of them that are afraid. There's the challenge. Are you up for the challenge to see if they will step up and show themselves, if they will appear? You see? There's a challenge for you. Or you just see things the same way as they've always been and hope it's going to happen. Or are you focusing on things that will make it happen? That's what I focus on all the time. Every day, how can I do something to where people will notice, even hate me for what I'm doing? Fine. I'm fine with that. At least I got their attention. Yeah, see, I'm not here to be liked. I'm not Harry on stage. That's not the idea. I'm just doing my part because I am grateful for what I know. I mean, it's all about gratitude and sharing something that's very real and genuine. So it's taking the risk, and it agitates the personal self. And if it doesn't, maybe something is wrong. I don't like to use right or wrong, but, is it to where you're so self-satisfied that, that's it, just to be self-satisfied? And this is where people chase happiness, love, satisfaction. I don't chase happiness. I don't even look for happiness. I'm not interested in being happy. No, I like being real, like the sun. You see, it's flawless. It doesn't have any restrictions. These things are restrictions. When people chase happiness, they're chasing their own restriction. And for the most part, what do? They hit a wall. Oh, they're getting married. They're all happy and excited. Oh, it's all jubilant. Fine, have fun. I went through that experience. And the end result is, what's the end result? Get ready for the divorce. Get ready for the drama because it's going to be there. Can you handle it? But, in the beginning, you're thinking, oh, we're going to be happy forever. Well, again, happiness has a lot of flaws in it, is what I see. But, again, you chase it. If I catch a good wave out there, I feel pretty good about it. But for the most part, I really like the indifference that life is because it's real, it's genuine, it's sincere. Who can see that? Who can stand in that? So, yes, the little self, for you to get its attention, you need to agitate it at times. You need to take the risk. You need to sometimes crawl or whatever it is, whatever it takes to get its attention, to get it focused on something that makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to be creating another one and dragging another unconscious body for another lifetime. You decide. This is how real it gets. It's always your decision. So glad you're here, Charles. Thank you.